What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 52 of the show we go with Ed Hand and myself, Andrew Parker. It's the Blaze Jordan episode. I don't really know if we need an introduction to you, Blaze. I feel like you've kind of stole Red Sox Nation's heart a little bit, obviously, which I know it gets talked about a ton. But you obviously went viral on YouTube years back, but just all around great Red Sox prospect as you've come through the system. Now you're all the way up to AA now, but don't really feel like I need to introduce you too much. But Blaze, I know we were talking a little bit off air, but the off season's almost over. But what have you been up to in the off season? I guess as we getting toward a report date.
Yeah, I mean, this all season was a really big one for me. So I invested a lot of money in myself, just trying to take that next step of what I felt like I needed to do. So I ended up building my own facility and weight room and everything. And I was doing my meal plan and everything, cooking for myself, keeping track of all that. I ended up getting down about, shoot, I'm like 24, 25 pounds down, I'm all the way down to 203 right now. So I feel like a completely different player, and I can just tell by the little bit I've been here so far that I feel like I'm gonna be way more of an athlete this year and just an overall better player. So I feel like I've put in a lot of work this off season. I'm gonna continue the work and then just continue to get stronger and just see what happens this season. So
What kind of program have you been on that you've been able to make that kind of progress? That I mean, just seeing how your physique has changed over the last few months. Like what do you what's that transformation been like you, and how did you do it? Like what's the program been like?
yeah, I feel like I've really kept the same weightlifting program. Just I was starting to go a little bit heavier and stuff this year, just trying to get my strength up, and I feel really strong right now. But one thing I implemented was a lot more conditioning. So I would get on like a treadmill or something, and I'd run about a mile each day, and it would be like on an incline, and I would have a 40-pound vest on also. So like it was kind of like having that extra weight on me and everything. So it was to make it a lot tougher and everything. So I made sure I did that. I did that every single day in the off season. I did take one day off, and then the main thing for me though was my nutrition. I started to count my macros, count my calories, and I basically almost cooked every meal of my all season and everything. Kept everything clean, and yeah, it was definitely a lot of hard work, but I'm glad I did it, and I'm just gonna just continue to do it and throughout the season, and hopefully I can maintain this and just stay right here through the whole year. So.
And for
Now, was
you,
cooking something that you like to do prior to this off season, or is it like you having to learn on top of all of this other stuff? You had to learn how to cook.
Uh, well, I'm not gonna lie. The food that I cook's not like great. It's just super simple. So it's a lot of chicken and rice or like chicken and noodles or stuff like that. So a lot of ground turkey and like things like that. A lot of fruit. But I use the air fryer a lot too. So I kind of cheat, but so I just throw it in there. But that's
Well,
really
that
about it.
counts. That totally
Yeah.
counts.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like technically me like cooking it, but I use the air fryer a lot, which really helps and everything. So it makes it easy on me.
the air fryer is man's best friend. I feel like it still counts, man. Don't cut yourself short. The air fryer is fantastic. It's I've gotten my money's worth out of mine.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but I guess just before we like move off of this though, but I'm curious. So obviously, like going through a change like that is pretty big. What was I guess, like what was the last thing that kind of like that happened that you're just like, okay, I'm changing my diet, everything. Like when was that like moment for you?
I would say it's always been like towards the end of the year, the past 2 years. Uh, I would almost get like, I wouldn't be like super fatigued, but like I would tell myself like, hey, like I could definitely be in a lot better shape. And like, what really made me want to do this is be able to prove that like I can play third base, and I feel like once dropping this weight, I'll be able to move side to side like a lot better and everything. Because I feel like I made a jump like a little bit this last year, but now I feel like with this progress that I've made, it'll be a more drastic change, and I feel like it's just what I need to do to be able to play both spots at first and third, and it's just something I really wanted to do, and then yeah, and I feel like just playing both spots gives me a good option and everything. So I feel like just overall just being quicker, and then I wanted to be like a threat on the bases a little bit more too. And that was another thing I worked on this whole season, just being a lot quicker and everything. So I just wanted to be all around like better ball player. And I kind of just told myself that towards the end of the year, I'm like, hey, like as soon as we get home, like we're gonna get right to it. Like we're not even gonna take a break. And I knew I needed to make that change to better my career. So because I feel like once I reached double A, I was like, hey man, like you're pretty close. You know, you're right there. So if I want to make an impact on the big league team, like I got to get my body right. And yeah, I'm glad I did. So.
Yeah. So speaking of Double A, it was. I mean, I follow your seasons since you were drafted, and it felt like you were really tearing things up in High A this year. And the promotion to Double A was just wasn't happening. It was like you'd hit a home run, you'd drive in 3 runs, you'd hit a couple doubles, and you're still there. And then but then it's like you look at your age, and I mean you were 20 last year. Like you when you did get promoted, you were one of the youngest guys in the league. Like not just like a 20-year-old, you were a 20-year-old in Double A. There aren't a lot of those. So I was just wondering how you adjusted once you got brought up there, and once what the change between High A and Double A was like for you, both mentally and like the physical part of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like the stuff or anything really got much better. It was just the more consistency of the pitching. Like I feel like every guy that each team brought out of the bullpen, like you're like, okay, this guy's pretty good. Like every guy that they brought out was always pretty good. You know, it wasn't like I feel like in high sometimes you got some of those guys you know that you can jump all over. You know, and they don't really have the best stuff, but you also had the guys who still had really good stuff in high and all that, but. So it wasn't like too much of a jump of like stuff. It was just a lot more consistency and just putting the ball where they wanted to. And I feel like the pitchers were a lot smarter on how to attack me and everything. And it was just like an adjustment. And yeah, and I feel like towards the end, I started making more adjustments and everything, having better at bats and taking more pitches. But you know, I still just trying to get my chase rate down from last year because I realized that's one of my problems that I have. And I'm working hard with the coaches and stuff down here and some drills and everything to be able to do that. And I feel like was just rushing a little bit, trying to maybe prove too much, you know, and it was causing me to chase a little bit. But yeah, and looking forward to up to the challenge again, wherever I end up at, and see what happens. So.
I am curious on something. So, obviously, there's a lot of high end talent in the Red Sox system that has been around you, obviously, in Greenville and Portland, and starting to trickle its way up to Worcester as well. Um, from your point of view, like what is that like? I guess being a part of that and just having that talent on your guys' team, and I guess just I mean, obviously it's added competition, but I guess from your point of view, what is it like, I guess, playing with like such great players all around you?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. And like one of the cooler parts about that is like we're all kind of like brothers, you know, like we're all super close. We all like love each other and everything. So, and I feel like yeah, there's always that competition and everything, but like we're so close that we'll be able to go to each other, be like, hey man, like I'm feeling this in my swing, or hey, this pitcher's doing something. Like we're always able to give feedback to each other, and so being able to just be around those types of players and being able to learn from them or learn from each other, it's always pretty good, you know. So, but yeah, it is pretty crazy the kind of players that you're around every day, whether we were in high or double A. You know, we always had a good clubhouse of lots of talent and everything. So it was always pretty cool. And yeah, and even the other teams that we'd play, they even realized it too. Like, hey, y'all, like they're like, dang, y'all got a lot of studs in y'all's team, you know. So they even got to see that too. So.
So something that I don't remember if it came out at the very end of the season or just before it, but it meant a lot to me was that you were very open with your struggle with anxiety throughout I would assume your whole career.
Yeah.
Because I mean you've had the spotlight on you since you were like 13 years old, and that I would imagine that having that kind of like magnifying glass, it takes a toll. It takes
Mhm.
a toll when you're, and I don't want to put words into your mouth. I would imagine that having just everybody pay attention to what you're doing, how you look, how you're playing, all of that stuff. Like I would find that to be totally draining. So I was just wondering what it was that made you want to speak about that, and how you've been doing since you
Yeah.
started talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like once I wanted to make that change to my body, I feel like I couldn't like take that next step forward unless like I kind of got that off my mind, because I've always, like you said, I've dealt with that my whole career, ever since I was in high school and everything. So like these past 2 seasons, like yeah, like I would go through some spells and everything. It would be pretty tough, and my mind like wasn't cleared. Like I was dealing with a lot of things. And but I feel like coming out, like it helped me clear my mind and be able to like come open with it and everything. And another big thing for me too is like I wanted to help out other people, because I know like a lot of high school age guys, a lot of college guys, and a lot of pro guys, like a lot of them go through it. So it was pretty cool to get the response that I had. I had no idea that I would do that, like take off like it did. I was just trying to help out a few people, and then it took off, and I was getting a lot of messages from like a lot of college guys and everything, saying how much it helped, and how much they appreciate and how much and that they're going through it. So uh, and like I would get like a lot of messages saying that like I feel like the path that I was on, like they would have never thought that anything would be wrong, but like deep down, like a lot of guys like have stuff going on that you might not know about. So it was pretty cool to be able to come up open about that. But I felt like being able to make this change to my body, I had to do it to my mind too, entering this next year. So I feel like definitely a complete new person and player at the same time. So
And so I'm piggybacking on that. What is a typical conversation between you and Christopher Troy like?
like, it's pretty funny. He's a lot smarter than I am. Like we were actually talking at the lunch table today, and I mean, it's just we're not too serious like a lot of the time, but we do like have conversations about like businesses and stuff, like because he's all into that, and like all into real estate and everything. And I actually have like rent a house and stuff back in my hometown, so we'll be talking about that, like hey, like I might make a move on something like this or something like that. And but yeah, he's always a fun person to have a conversation with. But he definitely is a lot smarter than me. So sometimes like I'm not on his level, so sometimes I don't know what he's talking about. But most of the time that when we have a conversation though, it's just like a lot of goofing around, just friends and stuff. So we don't really get too much on the business side, but every once in a while we do. So
Yeah, I wanted to follow up with that because I felt when we had Christopher on a few episodes back, it was interesting because he had like he had his guys in the background like writing stuff on like a whiteboard the whole time, like his brain trust behind him, and
hmm
and he obviously like and he's very obviously this, he's very big on social media. He's trying to be, and he even talked about like talking to you about that, but he seems like one of those guys that channels his, I guess, like inner thoughts a lot, and just seems like he's always speaking from the heart. And I don't know, two guys like you that that will speak like that. I just feel like it's probably a great conversation to be a fly on the wall. I always thought that, so
yeah,
it's
yeah, we
interesting.
we talk about the mental side of it every once in a while. Of like, and he was like asking me like even he was like, "Dang, I had no idea that you were going through that," and he was like, "It actually helped him too a little bit." So, and but yeah, we don't really get too deep, like especially when we're at the field and stuff. But we have had a few conversations about like the mental side and everything. But most of the time, it's just us goofing around. So,
So kind of a different vibe here, but you're from Mississippi, right?
I am, yes, I am.
How so I think especially here in the Northeast, like we don't have a great idea of how like Mississippi's different from Alabama, is different from
Yeah.
Georgia, and so on. What stands out about Mississippi to you, having grown up there? I assume you lived there during the off season. Like what do you like about it down there?
What I like about it, like, it's I feel like a lot of people think it's like super small towns, but where I live, like, I'm a suburb of Memphis, Tennessee, so like my town's still pretty big. But what I like about it, it's like a pretty peaceful town. There's not much going on at the same time, but like like I can drive like 10, 15 minutes and be like into a pretty big city. So, but I kind of like that peaceful like stuff, like being in the woods and everything. Like my new land that my parents just bought, we're about to build and everything. So that's where I put my building and all that. So we're gonna put like a pond and stuff down there. So just being able to have like places to go like that, like kind of out in the middle of nowhere, just kind of get away and stuff for a little bit. I feel like a lot of places you're not really able to do that, but in Mississippi, like you have plenty of spots that you can do that with. So that's kind of one thing that I like about it and everything. So it's just kind of like, and I feel like I have a pretty close group down there of a lot of my friends that I went through like high school and stuff with, and there's not like I didn't go. I went to a pretty big high school, but a lot of my friends kind of just stayed around that area or went to college like around that area. So it's just I feel like we're all pretty close down there.
Now, which teams do you follow there? Is it more on the Texas side? Is it the Braves? Like which team did you grow up rooting for?
I would say I watched the Cardinals the most, or I watched the Tigers a lot too because of Miguel Cabrera. But I watched the Cardinals probably the most because of Albert Pujols. Obviously, I didn't really have a favorite team growing up. I was just kind of like a baseball fan, and just turn on whatever game was on. But those are the two guys that like I really enjoyed watching. My first major league game I ever went to was the World Series game that Albert Pujols hit 3 home runs in Texas.
Oh
So
wow.
ever since then, he was kind of like my guy that I like love to watch. Um, so yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, like Austin Riley, he plays for the Braves now. Obviously, he went to my high school and stuff, so like I would follow them, and everything just to see how he's doing, and just always just support him and all that. So especially like throughout the minor league and stuff when he's coming up, it was always pretty cool for him to come back to our high school and like hit with us and everything when I was still back in high school and all that. So.
I have a couple more Mississippi questions, but I'm gonna ask those later because I kind of do like some like random quick ones, but I'm gonna get to those later. Um, you talking earlier about you dropping weight and wanting to play more third base, it kind of got the wheels spinning a little bit. So, I covered the team in Worcester this past year, and I got to see a lot of a guy like Bobby Dahlbeck, who is a guy that can play, and he was playing shortstop, he was playing right field, but he mostly played first and third base in Worcester. Is that is a guy like him somebody, I guess, when you get down to the facility, like a guy like him, you cannot wait to pick his brain? Like, does that kind of stuff happen? Has it happened yet to you, or is that something that you're planning on doing as you're getting older into the system?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be pretty cool too. I feel like the past couple years, I mean, obviously I've gotten into some big league games in spring training. I think I got into like 4 or 5 last year, but we're kind of like separated and everything a little bit in spring training, so I'm really not around them a whole lot. But I feel like maybe like being down here a little bit earlier, some of them guys like come on a little bit earlier. Maybe I'll get to pick their brain and everything. But it will definitely be a great conversation to have. Be able to play the same positions and all that, and obviously he had a great year in AAA, so be able to pick his brain on the hitting side and all that. And I feel like being able to pick Tristan Casas' brain on the hitting side also, and then the adjustments that he had to make when he got there, because obviously he ended up having a tremendous year. So, and he's a good guy to talk to, and I've talked to him a couple of times, but I feel like being able to pick his brain like more on the hitting side and just see how he goes about it would be pretty cool also. So.
Have you found the veteran players, or not even necessarily? It's hard. It's weird calling Cassis a veteran, but the players that have been up there, do you find them to be pretty approachable? Like, if you go and ask them a question, they'll answer it, or is it like they're in like a different tier, and you're like the rookie that has to come up and like how's that?
Yeah, some of the guys I've talked to, I mean, they're always pretty approachable. Like, I talked to Trevor Story a little bit when he was up in Portland, rehabbing and everything. So most of the guys that I have talked to are pretty approachable. But like I said, I really haven't gotten to meet or talk to a few of them because, like I said, as spring training, we're kind of separated and everything from them. We're all doing our own different things. So I haven't really been able to be around a lot of them, but like I've been able to talk to Costas a little bit because he was still in the minor leagues like when I first got here and everything. So we were kind of doing the same stuff and in the same groups every once in a while. So being able to talk to him was pretty cool, and see what he's doing now is also super cool. So.
Before I get into some random questions here, how glued were you into once you got promoted to Double A? Were you invested into the Greenville Drives championship run?
Oh, I was pumped. When it got super close to the end, we started turning on after our games. We would turn on the TV in our locker room and everything. And then actually, I got home, and they were still playing in the championship game. And I just remember I was telling Christian Campbell this when he hit the home run in the actual championship game. I was actually like, I was pretty hyped about it. I got up and like started standing up and everything, and I was pretty pumped. I wanted my boys to win it. So it was pretty cool to see them go all the way, and I know they deserved it, and they were able to put all the work in and everything. So it was pretty cool to be a part of winning the first half with them, though. Being able to celebrate with them. We won it literally on the last day, even though we didn't win that game. We still were able to clinch, but it was pretty cool to celebrate. And then I couldn't imagine what the celebration was like towards the end of the year. But yeah, I was pretty pumped for my guys down there. So.
Now, I noticed you were saying before when you were listing some of your favorite players there, like Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols, they've got some stuff in common with you. Right-handed bats, came up third baseman, a lot of power. Have you always seen yourself as that big? Just the slugger, the guy that's gonna hit the ball five. I mean, there are videos of you when you're 13 hitting these like 500-foot just moonshots. Is that how you've always seen yourself? And when did you realize you had that kind of power? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, never met a 13-year-old that can hit a ball like 500 feet or whatever is happening in those videos. Like it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I kind of figured out at a young age that like I was like kind of a power hitter. Like I was hitting home runs at like 6 or 7 years old. Like obviously the fences weren't that far, but like none of the other teams that we were playing were really doing it. I was kind of like the only one doing it in my area and everything. So I kind
Right,
of
like
like
even a 200
yeah
foot fence for a 6-year-old, that's pretty far.
yeah. So like when I was doing stuff like that, I was like, oh okay, like like I didn't really know like that young age, but I guess I kind of saw it. But once I did hit like the 11, 12-year-old years, like I kind of noticed like, dang, like yeah, I am hitting the ball pretty far, like it. But it's kind of one of those things that we were still using the aluminum bats back then, so I didn't really like care too much about all that until I started using a wood bat, and then once we started using the wood bats and I was able to do it, I just knew that. Maybe I did have a shot at playing this game at the next level, and you know, that's how it turned out. But I knew I had to also be a complete hitter, and that's kind of been my whole goal, like throughout my career, is just being the best hitter I can possible, and all aspects of the game. Because I feel like I did a really good job this past year of cutting my strikeouts down, and I feel like that's just one of the things that like I've always wanted to do. Like obviously, I'd want to walk more. And that's gonna be one of the goals that I have going into this year is just keep the strikeout rate the same, but also walk more at the same time. And but yeah, my biggest goal is just to be the best complete hitter I can be while also having power. And yeah, I feel like I'll be able to do a better job of that this year. Going into the season, feeling better. And I feel like I'm a lot stronger than I was last year. So hopefully, I can. The numbers of the power will go up a little bit as long as I stay in my approach and just continue to get better pitches to swing at. But I feel like that's the biggest thing for me is just not getting out of my zone and chasing pitches because sometimes I get myself out sometimes doing that. So I feel like if I get my pitch to hit and everything, hopefully I'll be able to have the power numbers go up. So
Now, do you come from a baseball family? Like, did your dad play? Do you have any family that played professionally?
I do not know. My dad played football in high school, and then he was always just kind of like a football player. But my brother ended up playing baseball when he was young, so I would be like on the side fields, playing with all my buddies and stuff, and just watching him just grow up. And I played football until I was like 8, but then I got like hit like really hard. I know as like 8-year old you don't get hit that hard, but back then it seems like I got hit really hard. And
Right.
I quit immediately after that. So I just stuck with baseball and ended up working out, and it was always my first love, anyways. So like I would always play wiffle ball in my backyard. I would always build like a wiffle ball field in my side yard and everything, and just play with all my buddies and stuff back there. So it was always my first love, and it's always just something I wanted to do, and I'm blessed enough to be able to play it at the next level. So it's kind of yeah.
Yeah, I guess because my question is like for your family when you're going viral hitting these home runs, what's that like for them? Like what like are they just like because for me,
Yeah.
I would have no idea how to market myself on this. I'm 34. We weren't like putting up videos of ourselves online or anything, or at least I certainly wasn't. But what's your parents? What's it been like for them? And then when you got drafted, what was that like for them?
Yeah, growing up, like it's honestly kind of crazy. Like we weren't even really the ones that would post that stuff. It was always like the people who put the event on, and then like other people like on Instagram would like they would like repost it or like make other videos, and that's kind of how it blew up. And then all I did, I just had the Instagram, and then I would just like post like a little clips that are here and there. But yeah, my parents like really would never post anything, but they always kept me humble through the whole process, and they always just told me to continue to work hard, and but they were super supportive and they were super proud of me, and yeah, and I feel like I'm the way I am today because of them, and but yeah, they were always the best, they always, like I said, they always supported me and everything, but they also told me like to keep working hard, stay humble, especially if I want to make it to this next step, because once you get up here, like everybody's good. So like even though you have all that attention on you now, like it doesn't really like mean anything unless you do something at the next level. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was definitely a lot different. Like like as a 13-year-old, you like go to the parks and everything, and then people will just show up just to watch you play and stuff. It was kind of weird, and all your friends like on your team were pretty hyped about it, and because like obviously we had a lot of people at our games and all that, but then I ended up committed to Mississippi State in eighth grade. So I was actually 13 when I did that too. But so that was another thing that kind of like happened, and people would come watch us play because of that. Just seeing like what it was all about. But it definitely added a little bit of pressure. But I feel like it helped me make it a little bit easier now. Because like we have a lot of people watching us now and everything. So it made the transition a little bit easier for me. So.
Yeah. And you got drafted in the third round back during that five round draft in 2020. It seemed like I remember the talk at the time being that they signed they drafted Nick York so that they could pay you more money in the third round. What was draft day like for you, and how much of was it a difficult decision going with the Red Sox rather than playing in college?
No. Once I realized who was picking me, and like, obviously like I wanted a deal like to where I'll be like I could help my family out and stuff in the future and everything. So like obviously like that was part of it too. But once I realized who was picking me, that was one of the teams I really wanted to go to. So it was kind of like a no brainer for me. Like I loved Mississippi State. I loved the coaching staff down there. But I just felt like it was what was right for me and my family. I was ready to take the next step, and obviously like having a job of just strictly playing baseball was always my dream. So it was kind of like a no brainer for me. But yeah, it was kind of a hectic day. Watching the first day go by. There was a few talks that I could have went towards the end of that, but nothing went through. So kind of like knowing the competitive stuff in me, like I was pretty upset about it. But the next morning, the Red Sox called, and yeah, and then I knew like what the deal and everything was going to be. So I remember just breaking down crying like with my family and stuff, and the dream came true. So it was pretty cool for sure, but yeah, I'm super blessed to be here, and I couldn't have been put in a better organization than what I've been in. So I feel like they made me a better person and a better player at the same time. So it's been really good to me.
All right, Blaze. I have 4 random questions for you.
Okay.
They're going to be completely unrelated to each other, so that's why I just had to prep you because it's going to be all over the board here.
Okay.
I feel like the first one's going to be a layup too because you just talked about it, and I feel like I promise it's not a layup though. First one, growing up. So this is pre-committing to Mississippi State. Were you an Oxford guy or Starkville guy?
Oh, Starkville, 100%. My whole
So
family is
it's always
Starkville.
been that way.
Yeah, it was always that way. My grandparents were Mississippi State fans, so it was always. I didn't even take a visit to Ole Miss. I went to
Okay.
like Vanderbilt, Alabama, and then I went to Mississippi State. And I knew Starkville was my place. So
Okay. Fair. Never Ole Miss at all.
never.
Okay, fair. So my next one here is I watched one of your videos you uploaded on your YouTube of your card collection, some of the stuff that you had in your collection, and a lot of them were your cards. When did it kind of hit you that you're just like, holy cow, I am on a baseball card and people actually pay like a decent amount of money for my signature? And like, when did that hit you? Like how crazy that is?
It really hit me like when I first got my card. Like that's exactly when I started collecting, was when I got my first card and Topps sent me the cards to like sign and everything. And then I saw like all the different colors and all that. And I was like, dang, this is like pretty cool, like be able to collect all these things. So then I like immediately like went straight to eBay, and then I bought some like Juan Soto cards and like stuff like that. Then ever since then, I just been buying stuff ever since. And then And once my card started to get out on the market, I kind of just like obviously we don't get to keep some of them, so I'd have to go to eBay to buy them. So I probably spent too much money on myself, but it was just one of the things I always wanted to do to hopefully pass down to my kids one day or something. So I've got a good collection going so far, but yeah, it's pretty cool for sure.
So, what is a dream card for the PC?
Ooh, I would have to say the probably just I don't know, because one of the Mickey Mantle cards would be really big for me, the 1952 card or the 1933 Babe Ruth Gaudy yellow card, because I have a few of the 1933 Gaudy cards already, but the Babe Ruth one's a little bit expensive, so maybe if once once I make my big league debut or something, hopefully I can get that for myself, so that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, nobody can sleep on the 52 Mantle either. That's
Yeah, yeah.
it's probably top 3 cards of any
Mhm.
collector's dream. So,
For sure.
even for a Red Sox Nation would still
Yeah.
be very appreciative of a 52 Mantle.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
so cards aside, um, what is a guilty pleasure of Blaze Jordan that the public would not know?
I watch a ton of YouTube, and it's mainly, it might sound crazy, but I watch a lot of home renovation videos. So like I'm big into, like I said, like I have that rental house back at my place, so we completely gutted the house and we completely redid it. So I kind of like grew up like watching the HGTV shows with my mom. So now I go on YouTube and like see how people do it and everything. So actually planning on this next off season get a couple more and completely gotten them, and then maybe flip them or turn them into rental houses also. So that's kind of like I basically watch them every day and night. So it just might be random people too that I don't even know. That just it's not like a certain episode or certain people that I watch. It's just I like to see how people do it, and I feel like it's a cool business to get to, like as a side gig. So
Or is that something that you would like post playing days? I know you still got a lot in the tank,
yeah.
but I know that's way down the road from now. But is that something that you'd be interested in? Like this is what I want to do when I'm done playing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think, and even when I am playing, like in the off season, like I said, like my brother helps me out a lot too because he's an accountant. So he deals with a lot of that stuff, like the money side of it and everything. But I just kind of like help pay for like everything. But he deals with all that side. He deals with all the headaches and all that. So I'm glad to have him down there. And he's close to the house and everything down there so he's able to take care of it. But it's just kind of like something that I like to do to like get my mind off of things and get my mind off of baseball for a little bit. And just I go on Zillow like all the time just to look up random houses, even though I might not want to buy one right now. I just like to see what the market does and see what they're at right now. So
Hey, HGTV, if they're ever looking for a show, you got
I know
Blaze Jordan over here.
that's what I've been saying. I was like, hey, I need to make my own show or something. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's got there's a. I mean, I'm guilty. I turn on HGTV whenever I'm hanging out at the house or whatever. Like it just happens. Like
Oh
fiance walks in, she's like, "Wow, you're watching that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm watching it." Like
yeah.
it is what it is. All right. So,
Oh yeah.
my last random question. You are a man of the South, so I have high hopes for this.
Hmm.
It is lunchtime. We're also gonna go pre new diet for you.
Okay.
So let's go last year, right? So I know you're cooking a lot, you're eating a lot healthier.
Hmm.
That doesn't not all of us are like this right now. So all right, so let's flash back a year.
Hmm.
You want some lunch and you're gonna go hop in your car and you want some fast food that day. You in particular, you want fast food fried chicken. It can be a sandwich, it can be strips, anything. Has to have a drive-through and all of the options are available like any place in the country. Where
Hmm.
are you taking your car?
Straight to Zaxby's. I know it might sound crazy, but Zaxby's is a big one for me.
So, okay, I have to explain just from Parker's reaction here. He loves Zaxby's. It's like
Yeah.
his favorite play. And we ask this question to everybody that comes on the show, and he's batting like 3 for 52, or like I think 4 for 52 now. So
Yeah.
you just ended his hitless streak.
Blaze, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest with you, man. I've asked that question to every single guest. You are guest number 52. Like
Mhm.
it's a new guest every episode. I've gotten Zaxby's twice before you. Alex Pinellas and Josh Lester, the only two. Alex Pinellas said he lives at the one in Fort Myers. So I love that from him. But it's like, I have been 2 for 51 going into this episode.
Yeah, I'm glad I can
Holy
help
cow.
you out there. I don't know why more people don't like it. It's crazy to me. Like, I'm like, dude, it's so good. It's way better than Chick-fil-A, in my opinion. And I don't know why, but, you know, it's just big for me.
This is incredible. I was not expecting that, to be honest. I've hit so much Chick-fil-A on this show. Like, I
love Chick-fil-A.
I told Zaxby's, I'm like, listen, like, I sent him something. I'm like, listen, I ask a question every time I interview people, and I always want to direct them towards Zaxby's, but like, it's hard to like try to even get a sponsorship if nobody's saying it on the show, because it's like they're just gonna listen and be like, well, the past 10 people have said Chick-fil-A. It's like, I'm trying my best, man. I'm trying. That's incredible, man. You made my day.
Oh yeah.
All right, Ed, we're gonna empty the bitch here. Whatever you have left in the tank, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I got a couple of not as baseball related. Your name's Blaze. Blaze Jordan. Coolest baseball name, I think, right now in the minors. Is Blaze your first name? Is it short for something? Is it a family name?
No, it's my first name. It's on my birth certificate and everything. It's my first name. It was actually found. My mom was reading a magazine while she was pregnant with me, and there was a story about a kid in there, and his name was Blaze. And my dad wanted me to name it because he thought I was gonna be a football player. So he was like, "Dang, that'll be a really cool football name." But hopefully, you know, I made him proud as a baseball player. But yeah,
I think it works for any sport, really.
Yeah, that's true. So that I get that question a lot if it's my real name or not. But yeah, it's on my birth certificate and everything.
So you posted your birthday was back on the back a couple weeks ago. How did you celebrate? Congratulations on being 21. Big year.
Thank you.
It's a big one.
Oh yeah, I just hung out with my family and friends at my place. You know, I just had like a little movie night and stuff with all of them, and just stayed back with them. I'm not really big into like, you know, going and doing all that other type of stuff. So I just like to have some family time, and I knew I was leaving soon, so you know, I just wanted to spend it with my family and my dog. So that was kind of how I just wanted to spend it. So
yeah, what kind of movies do you like?
oh, it really varies. I mean, I like comedy a lot. I would say that's probably my go-to, but I would just throw on like a funny movie or something with my buddies. But a lot of the times we don't watch it that much because we're just in there just goofing off, you know, just telling different stories and all that. But yeah, but like some type of shows and stuff I'll watch. One I've watched through and through is Designated Survivor on Netflix. That's been like, it's about like some like government, like all that. But it's like really cool, like see how they do all that. And it's just like a really good show. And then another one that me and Philip Sykes actually started is Game of Thrones, because Nico Cavadas, he told me, he was like, you need to watch it. So I started it when I got down here with Sykes, and we're on episode like 6 right now. And it's really hard for me to follow along, but I'm trying my best. But there's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm trying my best.
I think Nico looks a little bit like he could be on that show. There's like, he's got a little bit of like a Khal Drogo to him, so that I feel like that might be a little self-serving on his end.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like if he was an actor on that show, he would definitely fit right in. So.
Yeah, so this is my last question for you. And you alluded to it a little bit, like a minute ago, but you got a new dog recently, and I apologize if I get the name wrong. Ralphie?
It is Ralphie. Yes.
How's Ralphie doing? Is he still peeing on everything?
Yeah, my mom's still pretty upset about all that. He's peeing and pooping everywhere. He's just like, I had to clean up a ton when I was there, but it's actually a cool story. So he's actually a rescue dog. So my family was in Hollywood Feed, and my mom was like, all right, no more dogs. Like, we can't, we're maxed out on dogs. Like, she's like, I can't get another puppy. Like, so my dad walks in there, and he technically doesn't have like his own dog. So he walks by, and Rafi's right there, and he's the rescue dog. He was kind of just like dumped on the side of the road. You know, he just had stomach surgery. He like got a hold of some plastic and stuff. Like, he barely made it, but luckily he did. And my mom was just walking by. She's, oh, look at this one, you know, just to look at him. My dad asked the person working the desk. He's like, so where can I put an application? My mom was like, wait, what? And then we ended up winning. We ended up winning like the thing, and then we ended up getting him. So But yeah, I mean, I love him to death and everything. My mom's gotten, she's excited that we got him now. So, but yeah, we have 4 dogs now, so it's been pretty crazy at the house. So, but they're the best. So.
Yeah, it seems like my dog Penny, who's like a corgi, like Chihuahua mix, was rescued from Mississippi also, and
Mhm.
it seems like there was a lot more strays down there. You don't really like here in around Boston. It's like you have to order from rescue organizations there, or like Texas, or what have you. Did you always grow up with dogs then?
I did, yeah. Actually, so funny story. My first dog, it was a golden lab. Her name is Yankee because my brother was a big Yankees fan. My family was kind of a Yankees fan, so her name was Yankee. Then we ended up. I wanted an inside dog, so we ended up getting Bella, and she's still alive to this day. She's 14 right now, though. And then I got Buddy. That's a black lab. He ended up passing away last year. Buddy and Yankee have passed away now, but then we ended up getting Fendi and Louie, and now Ralphie. So now we have 4 dogs, and then I have a 20-year-old cat that lives outside, and his name's French Fry.
That's a great
Wow.
name for a cat.
Because
That is an amazing name for a cat. So we have a like our little I can actually show you they're sleeping in the room that I'm in right now. We've got the Penny there, the little orange one, and then that's
oh yeah.
Zoe the pug. And I want to do someday I want to write a children's book called French Fry and Potato because I think that that's what they look like.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly why I named Mike, because that was a stray cat that walked up. He kind of just like adopted us. Like it wasn't even like he just walked up and and my family was like, should we give him something to eat? And then I was like, oh, he looks like a French fry. I was like 3. So so then we just called him French Fry ever since then. So but yeah, he's still living to this day, climbing walls and stuff. I don't know how he does it, but he's super old. But he's still doing good somehow. So
That's amazing.
Still trucking along. I have to ask before one of my last questions here. Louis and Fendi, your 2 other dogs. What
yeah,
breed are they?
golden doodles.
Golden Doodles. Okay.
Golden doodles, yeah. So Louis actually he became a lot bigger than what we thought. We thought he was gonna be like 75, 80 pounds. He's like 105 right now, and he's not like fat either. Like he's just like built and he's really tall. Like if when he stands up on his back legs, like when I come in the door, like he'll like stand up and like give me a hug. Like it's kind of like cool how he does it. But he's like face to face with me when he stands up. So like he's like right in my face and everything. But it's immediately
Big dog.
the door. So but yeah, he's a lot bigger than what we expected. But Fendi's like the right size and stuff. So they're not like miniature or anything. We got the big golden doodles. So
So I got one last question for you. And this is going back to baseball. You can hit a home run off of any pitcher in the history of the game. Who are you hitting a home run off of?
ooh, that's tough. I would have to say Mariano Rivera because I would
Good
watch some
answer.
games, and then I remember watching Miguel Cabrera. He in the same series 2 home runs off of Mariano Rivera, and I thought that was the most impressive thing ever. So like it was 2 of the guys that I like watching. Like I like to watch him pitch. So then once they were facing off each other, and I saw Miguel Cabrera do that, it was pretty cool. So I feel like that would be a cool one to do it off of.
Yeah, I was saying that the other day. I loved Rivera pitching, but grew up a Red Sox fan, and I always felt a little disingenuous saying I hated him because, yeah, I hated him, but he was so good. He was like,
Yeah.
how can you disrespect that? He's the best to ever do it. He's the only unanimous Hall of Famer, and there's a reason for that.
Oh yeah, 100%. As many backs he's broken, so I would just come out as a win if I didn't bring my bat against him. So if I hit a home run against him, I would love that. So
Well, Blaze, you've given us a ton of time, and appreciate the Zaxby's love as well. So I just wanted to say thank you for hopping on. We appreciate it a ton.
Oh yeah, anytime. I appreciate y'all. It was a lot of fun. So.